For me, January started slow. I was releasing less content in part because I was exhausted from the rush in December. Not only the content rush, but also the end-of-year rush with all the holidays. On one hand, it was great to see family and friends. On the other hand, it was also exhausting to do so many things. So I decided to take January a bit more slowly. I'm still playing through Afterimage. I haven't quite beat the game, and pretty soon I'm going to start a second playthrough and actually record a lot of it. So that won't be in this video. But if you do want to catch my Afterimage content, do be sure to get subscribed and leave a like while you're down there. Oh, and also I'm going to be talking about a bunch of games because Steam Next is coming up soon. It may even be out by the time you're watching this video. And so the first game that I played in January was Stellaris Nexus. Now, I'd already played the demo for this game, and I had a positive first impression of it. When I played the demo, I was pretty bad, so I decided to take it a little bit more serious when I was playing the real thing. In fact, after a couple rounds, I did manage to win, or at the very least beat the AI. What I like about this is it takes a lot of the fun, planning, and logistics from a 4X game and condenses it down into something much more bite-sized. Because you have the edicts, the playstyle also feels a lot more active, without getting bogged down the way 4X games tend to once you have 8 different cities. Your actions per turn stay relatively consistent, which I really like. It's a smart way to solve a problem without the player feeling like, oh, I can't do anything, because I don't have anything to do. Well, you do always have things to do. They're just not the same. I also like how they handle the military. It uses a rock, paper, scissors system. Or more accurately, it uses a starbase and turtle system that I very much abused on my playthrough, because I realized I didn't have to go out conquering the galaxy. I could make friends with everyone. After all, it was very much a literal popularity contest, and through things like diplomacy and espionage, I was able to get my way without declaring war once or firing a single shot. Kinda, sort of. A few people weren't necessarily the happiest with me, but hey, wasn't my fault. Sometimes they just hate you because you're too popular. So after winning my election, I did play it a little bit more casually off-stream, but I haven't made extra content on it. At some point in the future I will. I just don't know what to make. Usually when I'm going into a game, I know what I'm going to talk about. How do I review this? Well, I've reviewed other things that are similar. Do I make a beginner's guide, or is it the sort of game where I really want to get in depth? I've had some success with that and some misses, but hey, you live and you learn, and with Stellaris Nexus, I actually have no idea what I'd say, because I'm not very good at things so far outside of the genres that I usually look at. But at the same time, that's part of why I play the Steam Next Fest. To learn new things, try new stuff, and hopefully get better at making reviews for it, because it is a game that I would very much like to talk about at some point in the future. And so after that, I moved on to another casual game, which I also haven't made content on yet, but for different reasons. That being Tiny Rogues. Tiny Rogues is a really interesting blend of roguelike and bullet hell mechanics, so you need very precise movement, and personally I would recommend playing it on a controller. The targeting system and lock-on works pretty well. You grab a bunch of items that are definitely ARPG inspired. I mean, you can have a Cluck-Eye build and also a Mage Blood effect. And yeah, Mage Blood does exactly what you think it does. Cluck-Eye has a chance to cluck. Initially, I played the game, and I didn't make any content on it because it was fun, but felt a little bit light on content. I was beating runs very quickly and consistently, and there wasn't that much difficulty to add. They've since fixed that. Now, the endgame loop is much more well-defined, there's a lot of meta progression, and overall it's a blast. So expect some content on that in the future. I just haven't had time yet to really sit down and record and edit everything. But who knows, maybe there'll be a live stream, and I'll do it in a little bit more of a casual manner. Which got me to about halfway through January. And this is where my entire month got upended by a game called Palworld. Yeah, I was actually looking at Enshrouded and thinking, towards the end of January, it'll be chill, I'll play some Enshrouded. No. This game burst onto the scene and absolutely took over. Probably in part because of a moniker Pokemon with guns, but realistically, it's not too much of that. And also, unlike a lot of survival games that I tend to bounce off of because they're, I guess, a little too survival-y, or maybe a little bit too much of a grind in a way that I don't find fun, I really got absorbed into Palworld because the grinding part, maybe not the most fun for me. The catching all the pals, breeding pals, making super pals, fighting even stronger pals, losing because those pals have way too much damage reduction. Yeah, most of those things were fun. One of them, not quite as much. I spent a lot of time playing Palworld, racking up around 100 hours. I was a little bit late to the party, but hey, I got there eventually, and overall, it's a great start. The game is definitely very early access. There's a lot of bugs, and you can't even remap all the keys. However, Pocket Pair has come up with a really unique blend of a bunch of familiar things. And in blending them all together, they've made something new, which I suspect is going to get copied a ton, since it's one of the most played games on Steam. But with that said, I'm releasing a review of Palworld soon, so if you want to see more of my thoughts, do be sure to check that out. But this series started both as a way to track what I play, and also as a way for me to talk about things that don't quite fit into the review, and I don't quite want to make a dedicated video on. And that's where the Palworld controversy fits in. Because honestly, a lot of it was smoke and mirrors. A lot of it was nonsense and angry people on Twitter. But I also think it hits on a weird quirk of modern gaming culture. Everyone loves to root for the little guy, especially in David vs. Goliath stories. But no one loves it when the little guy is touching something they love. So when it was Baldur's Gate 3 versus Starfield, everyone was rooting for Larian Studios and Baldur's Gate 3. They wanted the little guy to win. But because Palworld dared to desecrate Pokemon, something that a lot of people know and love, all of a sudden they're the bad guy, and a lot of people were out to get them, and just as many were out to defend them, and then things got real ugly from there. This is why I didn't want to make a video on it, because at this point, I honestly don't trust the internet to see that video, listen to my points, and handle it in a respectful and mature manner. I suspect instead it would have gotten very petty very quickly, and since I can't really solve that, and don't feel like banning a bunch of people for crossing lines they shouldn't, I didn't end up making a dedicated video. Because that's the other funny thing. The people who are angry were not actually people playing Palworld, and the people playing Palworld weren't the ones angry. So these two communities got very tribal, and there wasn't a lot of constructive discussion. Instead, I watched videos from people like Leonard French and Richard Hogue, actual lawyers who knew what they were talking about. I watched videos from games industry experts, like the Second Wind Group and Alana Pierce. And overall, that did a lot more to shape my opinion than what I saw on Twitter, which is to say nothing, because I don't really look at Twitter. But hey, like Asmongold said, if the game's fun, people will play it regardless of anything else, and with both Palworld and Hogwarts Legacy, that certainly was proven true. And yes, that is absolutely terrifying when you think about what could happen with AI in the near future. But personally, I don't expect the AI boogeyman to be that bad, since most of the AAA companies that are going to use AI to replace developers will probably do so in the most lazy and transparent manner, in a way that results in an extremely unfun game based on retention metrics and Battle Pass sales. But since I can't tell the future, I guess we'll just have to wait and see when that comes out, because I'm sure the monstrosity is just on the horizon, unfortunately. That said, what have you been playing in January, and what are you looking forward to in February? Be sure to let me know down in the comments below. And before I go, I'd like to take a moment to thank my patrons and channel members for their continued support. For as low as $1 a month, you can help make videos like this one possible. Things that take less effort, but also allow me to relax and not script everything the way I usually do. So if you like a more relaxed format, do be sure to support using the link below. With that said, I'll see you again next month with what I played in February, and hey, because it's Steam Next, there's gonna be a long list.